Spider-Man Brand New Day was a beautiful, phenomenal film. It's a perfect Spider-Man movie in some context. We're going to talk about what I think about the film, what I think objectively it did right and wrong, and what I personally feel about the film. This is my opinion. If you agree with me, great. If you don't, comment down below. What did you disagree? What did you agree with? I really like to fight you on this one because I'm a huge Spider-Man nerd, if not just a Marvel nerd. The things the movie got right, the things the movie got wrong. In the right, we have, well, Spider-Man himself. Now, this was never Tom Holland's fault. The previous three films were horrible in so many ways, but it wasn't Tom Holland's fault because he did not do anything. He was just following the script. You know, MCU had the churned out machinery, and he was just following what he was given. Now, granted, I'll tell you what were the good things about the previous three films in a bit. Firstly, Spider-Man, yes. Now, he felt like Spider-Man. He felt like Peter Parker. This was like reading a comic book, but in live action. It's like, you know, a comic brought to life, you know the saying. So this was pure Spider-Man. He felt like Spider-Man. He was acting like Spider-Man. He was Spider-Man. What people don't get about Spider-Man is that he's not a jackass who's throwing quips all the time and just talking about shit or whatever. No, he does crack jokes, but he also gets things done. He is aware of the severity of the situation, the weight of whatever is happening, but he does crack a joke when he feels like it's okay to. Now, that's one thing everyone got wrong about Tobey Maguire. The thing about Tobey Maguire was that he didn't crack as many jokes. Well, half the time, something drastic was happening. There's a whole train, you know, the train's about to fall off. He did crack a couple jokes, sure. Anyway, so he felt like Spider-Man. The acting was beautiful. This was the best Tom Holland acting I've seen as Spider-Man, and acting in general. Crowded Room and Cherry was pretty good. I mean, they were great films, great performances, but as Spider-Man, the best. He was beautiful in this film. He delivered a performance you hang on to. I was gripping, and I was like, dude, this is Spider-Man. He was written like Spider-Man. He was acting like Spider-Man. He was showcasing himself as Spider-Man. And the Peter Parker aspects, because you can't have the spider without the man. You need to have the man to make it the spider. Otherwise, he can just be man-spider. We'll get to that as well in a bit. Now, the thing is, he really got it right. The writers got it right. The director, Destin, I would like to give him all the credit because he really said, this is my Spider-Man film. I mean, we saw him do wonders with Shang-Chi and Wonder Man, but this is the best person right now for Spider-Man in the MCU. You can't get any better than this. As Spider-Man, he was phenomenal. He was moving like Spider-Man. He was swinging like Spider-Man. Now we're going to get to the visual part first. I'm going to cover all the visuals. Now, this film has a language. It has its own film language. It has beautiful colors, the blues, the warmth. Everything was beautiful. It was so Sony. Sony does have one thing going for them, which is the visuals. They really do nail it. They knock it out of the park, but everything else usually sucks. But this time, everything was great. Now, visually, the film was beautiful. The best-looking Spider-Man film since, I would say, Spider-Man 2 and Into the Spider-Verse. But that's also animated, so we can kind of put it out of this particular part. But then again, visually, it was beautiful. It felt like a comic book movie, but it also felt like a film because the real life footage that they had, you know, the on-set practical stunts and everything they shot on camera that they used with a bit of VFX and, you know, a little bit CGI that's needed. With that, I think it felt alive. It was moving. It was a moving movie. It was a moving film, and it was phenomenal to look at. Not a single visual where I was like, because I went back to watch Far From Home and Far From Home and No Way Home, and I was like, this is garbage. Now, okay, No Way Home has an excuse cut off for it because it was shot during, COVID. Sure, but they could have been creative. And I don't get the John Watts hate. Okay, he's a terrible filmmaker, sure. Or we can even say that, okay, he was just following what the MCU wanted him to follow. Sure. But even his own vision just wasn't there at all. Because there are a lot of directors, even Sam Raimi, sure, he was stuck with Kevin Feige's orders, but he still made Doctor Strange feel like a Sam Raimi film in a lot of aspects. And anyway, that's despite visually, color grading was amazing, the fights were amazing, the action was amazing, the swinging, oh my god. The swinging, oh my god, that was so beautiful, it was so amazing. It did remind me of the Andrew films, the way he swung, especially in Spider-Man 2, in Amazing Spider-Man 2, and most of, Tobey Maguire's swinging. If you look back at it, in Spider-Man 1, he didn't swing that much except the final swing. It was just a couple scenes here and there, but Spider-Man 2 and 3 really amped it up. So in terms of the web swinging, it really nailed it. It felt so rushing. It felt alive. It's like you were swinging with him, not watching him swing. Just like High Top says, you felt like you were watching Spider-Man swing, but it's almost as if you were swinging with him. You were on his adventure with him. Not just watching 20 feet away, watching just a bland visual going, oh wow, Spider-Man, cool. No, you were with him the entire time. And it felt great. There were some CGI blunders, which I don't know if that's a cinema problem because it's not ready to be out there on video. Maybe they fixed that up, but I guess that's just nitpicking, for me especially. Visually, it has no faults. The pacing was great. The direction was great. The production design was great. It felt like New York, even though they didn't shoot it at New York. It still felt like New York. And the fights were great. The reason it still doesn't match up with the Tobey films is because of the fact that the action, the hand-to-hand, finishes as it starts. So that's like, there's no depth there. But everything else, the web work, the way he uses his organic webs and just webs in general, the web combat was beautiful. It was amazing. And there were a lot of Insomniac references here and there with the way he moves, with the way he does things. So visually, the film was beautiful. I have no problem there. The music, oh yeah, the needle drops were cool, fitting. But the original score, it's a hit or miss. It felt great in some aspects, but other than that, it was almost non-existent. Like, it wasn't iconic enough. It didn't stand out enough the way the Elfman scores, or even the Hans Zimmer scores, or even James' score in the first Amazing Spider-Man 1. The first Amazing Spider-Man 1. Wow. Well, anyway. So, yeah, it does have a recognizable problem. It's not as recognizable yet. But the needle drops were great. The acting was amazing. Still did not like the fact that Zendaya and Jacob Bataloni were here, but it's whatever. That's just a nitpick, probably. So the positives are done, I guess, and the acting, yeah. The callbacks, it did feel like it was part of the larger MCU, but it still felt self-contained. I loved Jean as a villain. I don't know if people are hating on it, but I'm glad that we have an X-Man as a villain, but then she's reformed in some ways immediately. You know, like, she's not a villain throughout and whatever. By the end, she just needed empathy. And that's the beauty of Spider-Man. Like, sure, he will beat the shit out of you at first. He will kick your ass. But then he does get to his empathetic nature. That's usually how the fights end. I mean, with Doc Ock, attempted with the Green Goblin, Harry, Sandman. He tried with Electro, it didn't work. And the first one, sort of, with Dr. Connors. So his empathy is his greatest suit, apart from all his awesome abilities. And I love the fact that when the mutated hormones take over and his eyes go pitch black, he's unstoppable, because that's a hint. I feel like that's building up to when he gets the symbiote, because when he doesn't hold back and when he loses control for just a bit, the fight ends like this. He beat the shit out of Scorpion. He didn't get a lick in when that happened. Before that, he was just, upsy daisy, having fun. But when he gets it, it's like whoa. I thought Scorpion died when he slammed him into the police car. I was like, dude. So, and I love how he beat the shit out of the hand. Getting to the hand as well, I love how he beat the shit out of the hands and how he dealt with it. And I love that he ended the movie with empathy rather than beating everybody up all the time only. Yes, he beats them up, but then he ends it with, the nice cliff note is always with, as in, the empathy. So I love that. And I love when he says, I'm both. Like, 10 out of 10. Now, the negatives. I did not like the fact that, again, the music was very I didn't like the fact that they kind of almost undid what they did with No Way Home. I hated that. I hated the fact that Zendaya and Jacob were a huge part of it. They should have been just cameos or just sprinkled here and there. I don't know. Maybe that's me. I didn't like the fact that Scorpion was really like a one-and-done kind of villain. Like, he was there in the opening montage among many villains who were wasted. I was so happy to see the comic book panels brought to life. I was happy to see the cameos. But the fact that they were also in the trailer, and that the fact that except the ending, except the fact that he gets shot, everything was in the trailer. We get it. And we knew it was Jean Grey. Dude, everyone who's making the trailers, grow up and stop spoiling the entire movie. Putting on a mask just in case. So yeah, in these negatives, like Scorpion really did not feel like a villain. He was really a bitch. And I get it, in a lot of comics, Scorpion is not really that big of a threat. But in some comics, he really is. I like the way he was utilized in the games. And I really wanted, like, at least after, let's say, it would have been really fitting. See, that's the thing what the Raimi films always got right. That sure, you'll get your empathetic moment, you'll get the Peter aspect, but then the spider part is gonna be so cool and so energetic and full of depth that none of them are gonna feel lacking. See, that's the problem. As much as I love the action, there was no oomph in the action. You know, it would have been so much cooler that after he got Jean Grey to calm down and agree with him. And that was a great scene, by the way, with Aunt May. Aunt May was acting like Aunt May and not Hot Annie. So I'm so glad. I loved the way it ended. But then that's when Scorpion should have come back in some capacity. Now I know someone's gonna be like, "Oh, how would you write it? You're not a writer." Honestly, they should have incorporated Scorpion throughout the entire film, where after when he gets his ass beat, what should have happened was that he would have like secret funding by somebody. You could reveal in the post-credit scene or something like that. And he got a better suit, a more mechanical, more powerful suit, and he comes back like, "I'm not done with you, Spidey. I'm gonna get you now." And then and now seeing Spider-Man with embracing his organic part and the hormonal, the mutant hormones, and embracing himself entirely. You know, I'm both. Pay it off even further, where he now fights Scorpion, but this time he doesn't, beat the shit out of him the way he did in the second fight. He still beats the shit out of him, but in a lighter tone. You know what I mean? Like, he embraced himself, he's not out of control, but he still beat him. And even though Scorpion was much stronger this time. That would have been so cool and so, I would say, it would be amazing. It would be spectacular. And then after that, something with Jean, and then he gets shot by Frank anyway. That would have been just like a 3-minute fight, and sprinkling more Scorpion here and there. 3-4 minutes would not have hurt the movie at all. Now, again, what I hated about the opening is that you showed us years went by and Ned and MJ are graduating, and we only saw like a minute or two of comic panels being recreated as a subject for time passing and that he's growing. It would have been so much cooler if the first 12 to 15 minutes would have been him doing all of this. Just stretch it out to 20, not 20, chill. Okay, how about 15 minutes? Stretch it out to 15 minutes and show that Tombstone, now that, just like the way in the first Avengers, like when after the first Avengers, Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, takes advantage of the Battle of New York's aftermath. Just like that, after Daredevil season 2, Born Again, season 2, now that Fisk is exiled, it should have been a power vacuum, because who was stronger than him? Tombstone comes in, you show Tombstone as a bigger threat, and he's like the underground. Spidey can't even get to him somehow, like no matter what he does, because he knows, oh, this is very dark. And he's the guy that's funding all these bad guys that are on his payroll. Establish all of this, establish the underworld, establish the street level gangs and everything, so you can set up anything you want in the future easily, and then have him beat Scorpion or whatever. But keep Tombstone in the dark. You don't reveal him immediately. Just create another panel with maybe Sandman or somebody, anybody. Literally, there's so many villains. Anybody, really. And then you just said this whole, like, okay, let me make it easier for everybody to understand. The first 20 minutes are him, the same thing you saw, but much more, it's expanded further. It has more depth, more action, more exploration of the underworld. The power vacuum being taken over by Tombstone, Lonnie, and this whole development, which makes everybody, including Scorpion, feel more fleshed out and wouldn't have taken anybody's time, because Spider-Man villains are very interesting, except just being comic covers for one shot. It's so stupid. That's also in the trailer. And then after that, continue the film as it is, and then just in the end add one more Scorpion fight the way I mentioned, and that's about it. Frank was incorporated very nicely. I hate the fact that the Hulk was like a bitch. Like, I love the film. I love how he was incorporated, where he loses control. Now he's Jean Grey's puppet and blah blah. The action, it was so awesome to see Savage Hulk for the first time in so long. It was so endearing. But seeing how he was just thrown away, like, oh, did I hurt anybody? Oh, you're gonna go to prison, bitch. I think they really just hate the Hulk, and I think they hate Mark Ruffalo now because he's standing for what's right. That was shitty. Can't say much about it. It could have been way better. But I like the fact that Spider-Man withstood everything. He didn't beat his, he was getting his ass beat. But again, empathy, again. no matter how many punches he threw, in the end he got to him by just talking to him like, Hulk, Banner, please, it's me, please. You know, he didn't recognize that it's Peter. He just recognized that it's a scared young adult in there, and he doesn't actually mean any harm. And he got to him because the Jean's powers were like out of the mind. I love the fact that damage control were the actual bitches. I knew it. I knew it. You could tell. It's such a like. Anytime the director of damage control was saying some shit, I was like, this is gonna come back, and it did. He's such a bitch. The fact and it's so heartbreaking when we find out what VMAX actually was. Like, it's the last thing Sarah saw before she was killed. And God, that was so good. So good. See, the movie has so many pros. It does outweigh the cons. I just wish the cons were not there, because it could have been avoided. It's not like, you know how sometimes you make an excuse for a film where it's like, oh, but like, no, come on. Anyway, I also loved how the trigger for Sarah got her killed, but the trigger for Jean unlocked her powers further, like telekinesis and everything. And that's a subtle hint, not subtle, but a huge hint that she is an Omega level mutant. So that was crazy. Also, great acting by the way. Sadie Sink, perfect Jean Grey right now. I can't wait for what happens next, and I don't think they're gonna go street level anymore, which is so sad, because this could have been it. This could have, the way I gave these suggestions, it really could have been it. But I'm guessing Spider-Man 5 is going to be another otherworldly, or probably a symbiote arc. Now, they're going to go with the symbiote arc, and I hope Kraven appears, and I hope they do Kraven right. They got him shitty. They got him shitty in the film. They got him being retarded in, like, the game. They've only ever gotten him in, like, the comics, obviously, right? And they've only ever gotten him right in the Spider-Man 3 game, I guess, kind of. And also, obviously, the cartoons, the Spectacular Spider-Man, and they even got him sort of right in the new animated series, the edgy MTV one. So that is my take on Spider-Man Brand New Day. And the reason I rank it at number 3 still is because Spider-Man 2, here's the thing. Nostalgia, sure, but I grew up with those films. You know, I understand the flaws they have, but I grew up with them in terms of performances, in terms of how they were put together. Spider-Man 2 is still the most perfect Spider-Man film out there, along with Into the Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse is equally good, if not better, than Spider-Man 2. So these two, and then Brand New Day. These three are the whole holy trinity, and then everything else comes in. Everything else comes later. But again, you need to study Spider-Man 2 to understand what I'm really trying to say and why it's as good. And I hope Tobey Maguire has a great send-off in Doomsday, because from the reports, it doesn't look as good. They can't disrespect my goat like that. But yeah, Tom Holland, his best Spider... Okay, the final verdict. Tom Holland's best Spider-Man film. Tom Holland's best performance. Best looking Spider-Man film in years. Great action. Great writing. Great Peter Parker. Great Spider-Man. Great characters. Great incorporation. Great New York. New York was an actual character. Great music. Great needle drops. Great direction. Great production design. Great costume. The costume is so... Mwah. It's perfect. I love it. So yeah, that is my take on Spider-Man Brand New Day. If you guys agree with me, great. If you don't, just tell me. Tell me what I got wrong. And if you think it's way worse than I think, that's really fine too. You can also check out my letterbox. I got it rated there. I would give this film a solid 8.9 out of 10. And those nitpicks are again, just my preference. But the reason it has those marks cut out is only because of the things I mentioned I did not like. So, yeah, that's really about it. Stay good, people, and be Spider-Man, because literally anybody can wear the mask.